This week we are once again entering a monochrome world from years gone by. It's the Retro Gaming Chart Show. So you should know the drill from now. Old charts from old magazines for old retro consoles, blah blah blah. This week we're going to cast our minds back to September 1993 and the 21st issue of Total magazine. This month's chart is the top 10 UK Game Boy charts, and it is always fun to look at Nintendo's portable system during its pre-Pokemon period. A healthy variety of games litter this particular chart, so please sit back and enjoy. There are a lot of platformers on the Game Boy, and some are great, but most of them are utter crap. Looney Tunes sits safely in between, in at number 10 this month. With multiple levels based on some of your favourite Looney Tunes, this release does a great job of portraying Warner Bros.' finest on such a small screen, and even if it does play a little averagely, it's not a bad game. One of two Nintendo developed sports games this month comes in at number 9, with Top Rank Tennis, so called because of its structure that involves you taking on all comers as you rise up the ranks against the game's toughest tennis players. It's a solid, if simplistic, tennis game. Spooky adventures abound at number 8 in Dr. Franken. Playing as some sort of Frankenstein's monster, predictably known as Frankie, this side-scrolling action-adventure is about finding the dismembered body of Bitsy, Frankie's girlfriend. This is a mostly forgotten about title that has a little Metroidvania about it, as you explore a multi-floor mansion, finding items such as keys in order to explore further. An arcade port comes in at number 7 as Data East Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja comes to the very small screen, and it's been ported relatively well with some great visuals that anyone who's played the original arcade or console ports would recognise. It's tough, but it's got plenty of character. Alfred Chicken is our middle of the road entry at number 6. This platform game definitely falls under the category of uninspiring, with slow action and a ton of repetition. This game is mainly notable as one of its marketing ploys involved the character running in an actual by-election in 1993, and if you're wondering what the results were, he came second from last with 18 votes. At one point in gaming, movie licenses were quickly developed on consoles as side-scrolling action platformers, and the same was true of very many versions of Alien 3's interpretations. At number 5, this Game Boy version is a very different movie license, taking things into a top-down view and focusing on exploration and survival rather than fast-paced action. It's not terribly amazing, but at least it does something different. At number 4 is another port of everyone's favourite puzzle game, Lemmings. Despite being on a tiny screen, this port is somewhat playable, although you might need to squint to see those tiny pixelated rodents, and the collision detection is reportedly a little buggy sometimes. The second sports game in this chart is at number 3 in Nintendo's Golf. Despite a few appearances from Mario himself, this is ultimately a very simplistic golf game, but it works even if it's quite bare bones. Although, how complicated do you actually want a handheld golf game to be? Mario's debut on the Game Boy is at number 2, and it is an excellent example of how to take a full console game, throw it out the window and build a game from the ground up to take advantage of the Game Boy's strengths and weaknesses. Tiny sprites make the most of the limited screen real estate, but it still feels like a Super Mario game should. But this month, Super Mario Land has been beaten to the top spot by its own sequel, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins. A much more impressive game than the original release, this sequel borrows more than a few visuals and mechanics from Super Mario World on the SNES and adds some nice chunky sprites that are recognisably Super Mario. Not only does this game take place in a non-linear world map that allows you to tackle most of the game's worlds in any order, but it also hails the debut of Mario's doppelganger, Wario, a character that would become a much more significant figure throughout Nintendo's future releases, starring in his own games and cameoing in many others. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this and want more, you can click this icon to subscribe, this icon to support me financially via Patreon, or these icons to watch more videos from my channel. Why not take a few seconds to answer the question of the week in the comments, or just let me know what you thought of this video. See you next week.